Millionaire pretends to be broke to test his poor fiancée, but what she did shocked everyone. Imagine this: a man who has everything, money, power, success, decides to give it all up, not because he wants to live humbly, but because he's testing the person he loves most. What happens when that test spirals out of control? When trust is broken, hearts are shattered, and secrets come tumbling down like dominoes. Today, we're diving into an emotional roller coaster of a story about love, betrayal, redemption, and second chances. It's the tale of Lucas Bennett, a millionaire who pretends to be broke to test his poor fiancée, Gabriella. But what she did next shocked everyone, including him. Lucas was no ordinary man. At 35, he had built a business empire in Chicago, worth billions. Summit Innovations wasn't just a company. It was his life's work, his legacy. But despite all his wealth and accomplishments, Lucas felt empty inside. His past relationships were riddled with lies. He'd been burned before by women who only wanted his money. So when he met Gabriella, something about her seemed different. She was studying culinary arts, working hard to pay for college while living on a humble farm with her widowed father and sisters. There was nothing fake about her smile or the sparkle in her eyes as she talked about her dreams of becoming a chef. For the first time in years, Lucas thought maybe, just maybe, he'd found someone real, someone who could love him for who he truly was beneath the expensive suits and flashy cars. But doubt lingered in Lucas's mind. How could he be sure Gabriella wasn't like the others? He couldn't shake off the fear that she might leave him if he lost everything. And so, driven by insecurity and mistrust, Lucas hatched a plan, a cruel experiment disguised as a test of love. He decided to pretend he had lost everything: his fortune, his business, even his identity. He would strip himself bare and see if Gabriella would still stand by his side. Little did he know, this decision would set off a chain reaction that neither of them could have anticipated. Gabriella, unaware of Lucas's ulterior motives, welcomed him into her world without hesitation. Her family opened their home, offering warmth, kindness, and unconditional support. They didn't ask questions or demand explanations. They simply accepted him as one of their own. To Lucas's surprise, Gabriella didn't flinch at his supposed downfall. Instead, she held his hand tighter, promising to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. This reaction should have reassured him, but instead, it deepened his internal conflict. The more genuine Gabriella appeared, the more Lucas questioned whether his actions were justified or unforgivable. As weeks turned into months, Lucas found himself caught between two worlds. On one hand, there was the simplicity and authenticity of life on the farm, the early mornings tending to crops, the laughter shared over meals, the sense of belonging he'd never experienced before. On the other hand, there was the guilt gnawing at him every day, reminding him of the lie he was living. Yet, amidst the turmoil, something unexpected happened. Lucas began falling in love, not just with Gabriella, but with the values her family embodied. Honesty, humility, resilience, these were qualities he admired, but had never practiced himself. For the first time, he understood what it meant to truly connect with people, not because of what they could offer, but because of who they were. However, fate had other plans. Just as Lucas started to believe in the possibility of a future with Gabriella, cracks began to form in his carefully constructed facade. The truth about his deception loomed large, threatening to destroy everything he had come to cherish. Meanwhile, Gabriella faced her own struggles, balancing school, helping her family, and dreaming of opening her own bakery someday. She poured her heart into baking cakes, hoping to turn her passion into a career. Unbeknownst to her, one fateful visit to downtown Chicago, it would change everything. As she stepped into the elegant lobby of Summit Innovations, little did she know that the man she thought she knew was standing right in front of her, wearing a mask she couldn't recognize. What follows is a whirlwind of emotions: shock, anger, heartbreak. As Gabriella uncovers Lucas's secret, her world crumbles around her, leaving her questioning not only his intentions, but also her own ability to trust again. Yet, even in the depths of despair, glimmers of hope remain. Life throws curveballs neither of them saw coming, forcing them to confront their deepest fears and insecurities. Through tears and trials, they must decide whether their love is strong enough to withstand the ultimate test. This story isn't just about a millionaire pretending to be broke or a woman discovering his lie. It's about the complexities of human relationships, the fragility of trust, the weight of forgiveness, and the power of redemption. It's about learning to let go of pride and embracing vulnerability. Most importantly, it's about finding beauty in imperfection and realizing that true wealth doesn't come from bank accounts, but from the connections we forge with others. So, here's where I'll leave you hanging. Will Lucas find a way to make amends? Can Gabriella forgive him for the pain he caused? And how will their journey unfold as new challenges arise, forcing them to redefine what love truly means? Stay tuned for the next part of this gripping saga, where answers will be revealed, hearts will mend or break, and lives will transform forever. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you don't miss a single moment of this unforgettable story. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. As Lucas settled into his new life on the farm, pretending to be just another man, trying to rebuild himself, Gabriella began noticing subtle changes in him. The arrogance that had once defined him, hidden beneath his humble disguise, was slowly fading. He worked tirelessly under the scorching sun, his hands blistered and calloused from tasks he'd never imagined doing. Yet, despite the physical toll, there was an unfamiliar calmness in his demeanor, as if he were finally finding peace in something real. But Gabriella wasn't ready to trust again. Every time she caught herself feeling a flicker of admiration for his effort, memories of his betrayal would flood back, leaving her torn between anger and hope. The family, too, wrestled with mixed emotions. Miguel, stoic and wise, watched Lucas closely, gauging whether this transformation was genuine or another act. Anna, ever protective of her younger sister, remained skeptical, while Clara softened slightly, seeing how much Lucas seemed to genuinely care about Gabriella and their unborn twins. Still, none of them dared to voice their thoughts openly, knowing that the decision ultimately rested with Gabriella. They all understood that her pain ran deep, and any push, either way, could shatter the fragile balance they were trying to maintain. Meanwhile, Lucas grappled with his own demons. Nights spent sleeping in the barn, far away from the warmth of Gabriella's presence, weighed heavily on him. He replayed every moment of their past, the lies, the hurt, the love, and vowed silently each night to prove himself worthy. During the day, he poured his energy into the farm, learning skills he'd once dismissed as menial, fixing fences, tending to crops, and helping with irrigation became his therapy. For the first time in years, he felt connected to something greater than himself, a sense of purpose rooted in hard work and community. But the tension between him and Gabriella lingered like a storm cloud refusing to pass. Though they exchanged polite words during meals, their conversations rarely ventured beyond surface-level pleasantries. Gabriella kept her distance, unsure if she wanted to risk opening her heart again. She often found herself staring at him when he wasn't looking, wondering if the remorse in his eyes was sincere or just another layer of deception. Her mind raced with questions. Could someone truly change so drastically? Or was this all part of some grand scheme to win her back? The turning point came one evening after a long, exhausting day. A sudden downpour had threatened the newly planted crops, and everyone rushed to secure the fields before the rain destroyed weeks of labor. Lucas, drenched and muddy, worked alongside Miguel and the sisters, pulling tarps over the delicate seedlings. When the storm finally passed, they gathered on the porch, sipping hot tea to ward off the chill. It was then that Gabriella approached Lucas, her expression unreadable. "Why are you really here?" she asked bluntly, her voice trembling with emotion. "And don't give me the rehearsed answers you've been feeding my dad and sisters. I want the truth." Lucas hesitated, taken aback by her directness. He looked into her eyes, searching for the right words. "I'm here because I love you," he said finally, his voice steady, despite the lump in his throat. "Because I want to be the man you deserve, the father our children need. And because," he paused, swallowing hard, "because being here, working alongside your family, has shown me what it means to live a meaningful life. I've spent years chasing success, but none of it mattered until I met you, until I met us." Gabriella's gaze faltered for a moment, but she quickly masked her vulnerability. "Love isn't enough, Lucas. Trust is broken. How do I know you won't hurt me again?" "I can't promise you won't feel pain," he admitted, his honesty raw and unfiltered. "But I can promise that I'll spend every single day proving myself to you, to us. I don't expect forgiveness overnight. Hell, I don't even expect it at all. But I need you to know that I'm not giving up. Not on you, not on our family." For the first time since returning to the farm, Gabriella allowed herself to consider the possibility that Lucas might actually mean what he said. His words resonated deeply, echoing truths she had once believed in, yet doubt still clung to her like a shadow. She turned away without responding, leaving Lucas standing alone on the porch, his heart pounding with uncertainty. Days turned into weeks, and the tension between them grew thicker. Meanwhile, the farm flourished thanks to Lucas's relentless efforts. With his business acumen, he introduced small improvements that made a big difference. Better irrigation systems, smarter crop rotation strategies, and partnerships with local markets to sell produce directly. The family began to see glimpses of the brilliance that had made him a billionaire, albeit tempered by humility and respect for their way of life. Yet, amidst these developments, Gabriella faced challenges of her own. Her pregnancy was progressing well, but the emotional strain took its toll. She struggled with conflicting desires. The longing to forgive Lucas and move forward versus the fear of being betrayed again. To complicate matters further, news arrived from Chicago about Summit Innovations. Marcos, who had been acting as CEO, informed Lucas that the company was thriving under his leadership, but also that certain board members were pressuring Lucas to return. The decision weighed heavily on him. Should he stay on the farm and continue proving himself to Gabriella, or should he go back to Chicago to ensure the future security of his family? One fateful afternoon, as Gabriella rested in the shade of a tree, she overheard Lucas speaking with Miguel. "I don't want to leave," Lucas confessed, "but I have responsibilities. My company needs me, and so does my family. If I don't step in, everything I built could fall apart." Miguel nodded thoughtfully. "You've proven yourself here, son. You've earned my respect. But remember this: no amount of money or power can replace what you're building with. Gabriella, choose wisely." That night, unable to sleep, Gabriella confronted Lucas. "Is it true? Are you thinking of leaving?" Lucas sighed, running a hand through his disheveled hair. I didn't want to burden you with this, Gabby. But yes, I've been considering it. Not because I want to leave you. I'd never do that. But because I need to secure our future. For you, for the babies. Gabriella's heart raced. She knew he was right. Yet the thought of him returning to the world that had once driven a wedge between them terrified her. And what happens after? Will you come back? Or will Chicago pull you back in completely? Lucas stepped closer, taking her hands in his. I'll come back, Gabby. No matter what, I'll always come back to you. But I need you to tell me what you want. Do you want me to stay here? Or do you trust me to handle things in Chicago? Her silence stretched endlessly, filled with unspoken fears and hopes. Finally, she whispered, Promise me you'll be honest. No more secrets. No more lies. I swear, Lucas replied, his voice choked with emotion. From now on, you'll know everything. With that promise hanging precariously in the air, Lucas prepared to leave for Chicago. As he packed his bags, the weight of his decision pressed down on him. Would Gabriella wait for him? Or would her doubts consume her entirely? The journey ahead was fraught with uncertainty. But one thing was clear. The choices they made next would define not only their relationship, but the lives of their unborn children. The climax loomed near, and neither of them could predict how it would unfold. As the bakery filled with laughter, tears, and the sweet aroma of freshly baked goods, Lucas realized that this moment was more than just a vow renewal. It was a testament to how far they had come together. The journey from lies and betrayal to forgiveness and rebuilding wasn't easy, but every step had been worth it. Gabriella stood beside him now, not as someone who simply endured his mistakes, but as an equal partner in creating something beautiful out of broken pieces. The twins, Miguel Jr. and Clara Bennett, giggled in their grandmother Anna's arms, completely unaware of the weight their birth carried, or the trials their parents faced before they were born. Their innocent laughter echoed through the bakery, a reminder of hope and new beginnings. Lucas couldn't help but marvel at how these two tiny humans changed everything. They weren't just his children. They represented redemption, unity, and love that grew stronger despite adversity. As the celebration continued, Miguel Sr., Gabriella's father, pulled Lucas aside for a quiet conversation. You've done well by my daughter, he said, his voice gruff but kind. But remember this, family isn't about perfection. It's about showing up when it matters most. Lucas nodded, understanding the depth of those words. He thought back to all the times he doubted himself, the nights he cried alone in hospital chairs while Gabriella rested nearby, and the countless hours spent working alongside her family on the farm. Showing up, that's what truly mattered. Later, that evening, after the guests left and the decorations came down, Lucas and Gabriella sat together under the stars behind the bakery. The air smelled of wildflowers and freshly turned soil from the fields. Gabriella leaned into him, her head resting on his shoulder. For a long time, neither spoke. They didn't need to. The silence between them felt like a bridge rebuilt, stronger than ever. Do you think we'll always feel like this? Gabriella asked softly, breaking the quiet. Like no matter what happens, we can handle it. Lucas smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I don't know if we'll always feel exactly like this, but I do know one thing. We're better together, stronger, smarter, happier. I used to measure success by money and power, but now, success is us, our family, this life we're building. Gabriella tilted her head up to look at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. You really mean that, don't you? Every word, Lucas replied without hesitation. And I promise you this, I'm not going anywhere. No more tests, no more lies. just us. In the months that followed, Gabby's artisan bakery became more than just a local favorite. It became a symbol of resilience. People traveled from neighboring towns to taste Gabriella's signature cakes, infused with ingredients grown right there on the farm. Lucas, using his business acumen, helped expand the operation sustainably, ensuring the community benefited alongside their growing family. Together, they hired locals, supported small suppliers, and even started hosting baking workshops for kids. Meanwhile, Summit Innovations flourished under Marcos's leadership. Under Lucas's guidance, the company shifted its focus toward ethical practices, earning praise from industry leaders. Though Lucas stepped away from day-to-day operations, he remained involved as a consultant, mentoring young entrepreneurs who shared his newfound values. It was a role he never imagined himself embracing, but one that brought him immense satisfaction. Back home, the farm thrived too, with Lucas's financial support. Offered humbly and respectfully, the Oliveira family installed modern equipment and drought-resistant crops, securing their future against unpredictable weather patterns. The once crumbling barn now housed livestock again, and the fields stretched green and vibrant under the sun. Every morning, Lucas joined Miguel Sr. for coffee, discussing plans for the next harvest. In those moments, Lucas understood why Gabriella loved this place so much. It wasn't just land, it was a legacy. One crisp autumn afternoon, as golden leaves swirled around the farm, Gabriella surprised Lucas with news that took his breath away. She placed a hand over her stomach, smiling shyly. "It looks like our little bakery is going to have another helper soon." Lucas stared at her, stunned. Then slowly, a grin spread across his face. "Another baby," he whispered, pulling her close. "Are you serious?" "Very," she replied, laughing as tears welled up in her eyes. "We're going to be okay, Lucas." "Better than okay." He kissed her then, holding her tightly, as if afraid she might disappear. But she didn't. She stayed right there, solid and real, just like the life they'd built together. Months later, when their third child, a boy named Gabriel, was born, the entire family gathered around to welcome him. The room buzzed with joy, laughter, and the faint smell of cinnamon rolls wafting from the bakery kitchen below, as Lucas held his newborn son, surrounded by the people he loved most. He finally understood what true wealth looked like. It wasn't found in skyscrapers or bank accounts. It was here, in the warmth of family, the strength of forgiveness, and the unwavering belief that love could overcome anything. So, what did you think of Lucas and Gabriella's story? Let us know in the comments. On a scale from 0 to 10, how would you rate this emotional journey? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our heartfelt stories. And if you enjoyed this tale of love, trust, and redemption, click the link on your screen to explore more inspiring narratives. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, sometimes the hardest journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations.